Good afternoon, all you awesome people out there. My name is Scott Schertzen, alongside myself, Scott Schertzen, and as always, with me as Scott Schertzen. Nice translation. I'm running solo today. But welcome to the Sports Den on Zingo TV, channel 249, 250, part of the Spanglish World Network. As always, Zingo TV is an app that's available for download on iOS and Android. When you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. Both apps are free. And lastly, Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 and forward. Okie dokes, folks. Hope you're rocking it out there pretty well. Like I said, my name is Scott Schertzen. I'm running solo today. It's a complicated situation on that. Nothing bad, but it's what it is. Timing is sometimes the way it works out. So I hope you guys like the melodious sound of my voice, because if you don't, you may want to switch off or find something else to watch or listen to. You know, you put me on mute and just watch my head bob back and forth. That's okay. You can do that too. But anyway, we got a bunch of stuff that we're going to be rolling with today. As always, basically drop comments, thoughts, comments, ideas, compliments, or complaints in the chat. You know, whether this ends up being on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, I don't care. You know, like I said, I'm running solo, so I'm taking your comments, finding out basically what you guys are thinking, so you guys can help me along a little bit today. Okay. But like I said, we got a bunch of stuff that we're going to be covering today. Slightly shorter show in this particular case, so we're only going to be running about 50 minutes instead of our usual 55. But yeah, NFL Week 1 just came and went. An amazing first week. Funny about it is there were a lot of things to like about the NFL Week 1 here. You know, there was a ton of things that I felt were huge takeaways, exciting moments. I'm going to be breaking them down, maybe talk a little MLS when it comes to the Campeones Cup tomorrow, talking MLB too as well. But like I said, we are starting things off right now with what I'm going to be calling 5 things that I loved about Week 1 in the NFL. First and foremost, let's give this man some love, will we please? This, of course, is Mr. Eugene Cyril Smith III. That is actually Geno Smith's full name, by the way. Fun fact on that. Last night, gotta say, wasn't a whole lot of hype for him in this particular case. The belief, and the idea, and the concept was the fact that when it came right down to it, he was not going to be getting a lot of love. The entire conversation for the night last night was going to be the fact that Russell Wilson, right after being traded from the Denver Broncos, will immediately be going back to Seattle and playing his old team that he won a Super Bowl with. The response to him coming back was, I'm going to put it politely, tepid. To put it more bluntly, it was honestly a terrible shit. You know what might actually help? I put Geno Smith down at the bottom, get that part right. Had that wrong for the first time on that. Sorry, good job, mate. Anyway, this was something that I found interesting because a lot of the fans really went after Russell Wilson hard for the fact that he honestly left the team. Look at the picture of him basically, you know, locking arms with Geno Smith. Like I said, I'm going to get into Geno in a second. But what amazed me about this is there was no love in Seattle for Russell Wilson. And that's not where I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go back to my original point in a sec. What amazed me about that was the fact that, like I said, Mr. Eugene Cyril Geno Smith III honestly had a really good friggin' day. You know, nothing really extraordinary, nothing outlandish on here. Very control the clock, 23 for 28, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. You know, it was a game that by all accounts Seattle should have lost and very nearly did. I blame some of the coaching staff on the decisions that were made on that, but we can get into that one a little bit later, because when it comes right down to it, there's a lot of things that can happen in the course of a game that can determine what, and basically any aspect of it. One of the things on this list will also tie into that a little bit later, but we'll get to that in its own due course. But Eugene Geno Smith, nobody expected much out of this guy. You know, his career has been journeyman, to say the least. A few years with the Jets, few years with the Giants, best known with the Giants as being the guy who replaced Eli Manning when they inexplicably benched him late in the season and ended his consecutive game streak. Why they did, nobody knows. Geno was more known as the guy who just basically was the poor sap that had to take over and end this eventual Hall of Fame players streak here. Not his fault. He's just doing his job. But hang on a sec. My contact lens is bothering me like crazy, so we're going to be operating off of one here. Oh, it feels so much better. Oy. Do you ever have contacts that go in, they just don't sit right? That's been kind of my day with this one right here. So we are operating contact lens free in the left eye, but we're going to make this work. We're going to push through. So anyway, Geno Smith, you know what? Give this man some respect. Russell Wilson had, by all our arguments and cases, a better game on the field, 29-42, 340 yards and 1 touchdown. But Geno Smith, who nobody expected much out of, the journeyman backup, who never treated himself like a backup, who put all the time, all the effort, and all the work in and treated himself like a player. One of the things that they said last night about Geno is they may have given up on me, but I've never given up on me. And he just kept working, and he refused to give up. He always said that if he never took the field again, it would not be because of his work ethic. It would be because of someone else's decision. So the fact that Geno, who has big shoes to fill replacing Russell Wilson, managed the team, managed is a good word in this case here, but the Seattle Seahawks spoiled Russell Wilson's return to Seattle with a 17-16 win that, again, Denver made some massive mistakes. 20 seconds left, you got a chance to score, and you, rather than actually give the ball to Russell Wilson, you attempt a 64-yard field goal. You miss. Seattle wins the game. Now, what, again, surprised the heck out of me with this one is that even though, that's the wrong way. Spoiler alert, MLB is coming next, eventually. Russell Wilson had no love lost when he went battle. I was very, very surprised that the boos were so hardcore out in force on this. He led them to a Super Bowl. He is a Hall of Fame quarterback. He will probably, by all accounts, when he goes in, would go in as a Seattle Seahawk. But the way 12th man booed him last night, and the way they tore him apart, and the way they ripped him asunder, I don't know how he feels about that. If that's going to be something where he's going to look at his Hall of Fame career and say, you know what, maybe I don't want to go in with Seattle. Maybe I can make a career out of, Denver and go into the Hall of Fame as a Denver Bronco. Why would you go in, to the Hall of Fame, in a place that booed the crap out of you? I don't know. Like I said, to me, I found that really, really odd. I was a little disappointed for that. I was expecting a little more love from Seattle fans on that. I get he was traded. I get he kind of wanted out, and things were messy at best. But at the same time, dude, he brought you guys a Super Bowl. He played his friggin' heart out for that city. And yet they were just like, you know what? You suck. Get out. Geno is our guy. But in this case, like I said, Geno Smith, 1-0. Russell Wilson career with the Denver Broncos is winless, and he is in fact 0-1. Found that one kind of interesting. All right, moving on. So next up on the list that we've got here, Tua played his first game basically with Tyreek Hill as the new one of the new wide receivers on here, and in a game I think that a lot of people weren't expecting to end up the way it did. They beat the Patriots at home 20-7, and I think when it comes to basically battling the Patriots, he had a good performance, 23-33, 270, 1 touchdown. Again, no interceptions, and that's a big part of that. But it was a controlled game. It was 17-0 at halftime. Didn't have to be pretty, didn't have to be, exceptional. It had to be efficient. And that's the key word that seems to be a lot of what I've got with these quarterbacks that is efficiency. You don't have to be great. You just got to be good enough to do the job here. And, the team only had 307 total yards, but they kept the Patriots to 271 overall, and under 200 yards passing for Mac Jones. So Mac Jones had 213 before sacks, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So it wasn't that great. It was okay, but Tua, honestly, he had just a phenomenal game in this case here. I was really impressed. Tyreek Hill. The fact that they landed Tyreek Hill to me was just amazing because it opens up so much options. In this game alone, in his first game with his new team, he went 8 for 94. He had 8 catches, 94 yards. But more importantly, on top of that, it gave Jalen Waddle a chance to actually shine a little bit more. It opens up the other receivers when you got a talent like Tyreek Hill playing for that team. So in his case, 4 catches, 69 yards, and the lone passing touchdown that I had mentioned. So there was a lot to be said. Was it a pretty game? Not entirely. But again, who cares about pretty? It's more important that you find a way to win. Is it too early to say that the New England Patriots are screwed? Oh yeah. It's way too early for something like that. This is the New England Patriots. Don't get excited. Don't get fired up. This is a team that will find a way to turn it around. That is a tougher division all the way through. The Jets are struggling a little bit. And there's a lot of concerns. I'll get to the Jets a little bit later. But frankly, I'm really happy. I've wanted to see Tua do well. He has been a guy that they've been like, you're the future. You're not the future. You're the future, not the future. And it's like just this continual song and dance of just yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And they couldn't make up their mind. So he's been playing with a massive chip on his shoulder. There were some major questions about whether or not he was going to be staying with his team this season. And the fact that he honestly at home, game one, opener, playing the Patriots, playing Bill Belichick and winning 20-7, again, managed game, but up 17 points at halftime. And then you can kind of just let the defense cruise and do what it's got to do. Not a blowout, but a win is a win, dude. And I got to tell you, I like Tua. I've always been fond of Tua. I think the kid's got a lot of potential there. And this might be finally the year with him and Tyreek that I think they can finally show what his capability is and what that man's potential is going to be. And who knows? There's another 16 weeks, of games for that team yet to go. But I think when you look at it, what's happening there and the upgrades that have happened in that team, I think they got a really good shot at being able to make the playoffs this year, make a little bit of a run. I don't think they're going to be like the AFC conference finals, but I can see a 10-7, maybe even 11-6 out of a team like that. And for Miami, a team that has been struggling for years, has been mediocre for a long time. I think this might be finally your year to get excited down there. I think it's finally your year to have a chance to be able to look at this and be like, you know what? We can make the playoffs. We can actually play in January. So who knows? It's, like I said, the season's still early, but I love what Tua brought to the table. I love Tyreek Hill. I was a big fan of that trade anyway. And based on, I'm not mentioning this too much here. I'm not going to go into this, but based on what Patrick Mahomes did over the weekend himself, he's not really missing Tyreek Hill all that much. But Tyreek, oh yeah, I think he can make a big impact over there in Miami. So, all right, moving on. So, Kirk Cousins might be a little. I got a couple of surprise picks on this one. Kirk Cousins, I think, is one of them in this case because you're playing against an Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay Packer team that all likelihood will probably win the division. I think you look at a team like this, you look at what the Packers can do, and you just basically just sit there and assume that, the Packers can take this thing. Let me pull that up for a second. Where was that? Somehow this page went all the way to the top. There it is. There we go. Aaron Rodgers, honestly, a very mediocre performance. 22 for 34, 195 yards, and one pick. No touchdowns, one pick. But Kirk Cousins, again, managed very, very well here. 23 for 32, 277 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and allows somebody like Dalvin Cook in this case to get 90 yards on the ground. When you have a good passing game, it opens up the run game. When you have a good run game, it opens up the pass game. So in this case, the fact that Kirk Cousins was able to do a very solid game one at home, playing a division rival, this is suddenly a very, very interesting division because it was going to come. One would assume that the Minnesota Vikings were going to probably be the second place team right now. But what they did in division is going to be a big part of this. At the worst case scenario, that team has now basically split the season series against Green Bay. And who knows what's going to happen. But you might look at this game, say 10, 11, 12, 13 weeks from now, and you might point back to it as this team being able to look at itself and be like, you know what? That's the game that started it all. 23-7. Again, very, very, very manageable, very organized in this kind of case here. Again, just like I mentioned with the game with the Miami Dolphins, this game, they were up 17-0 at the half. And when you have a game like that and you're able to do something like this, you're able to allow your defense to just start to take control of it. You're allowed to actually have your offense run the game a little bit more, burn the clock. You've given yourself enough of an advantage that you can kind of control the pace a little bit more and just allow the game to flow. You've given yourself enough of a buffer. So by the end of the third quarter, it was 20-7, 23-7 was your final. But the fact that they were able to hold Aaron Rodgers to the low number of yards that he had here, like I said, he had under 200 yards and no touchdowns. The fact that they were able to do that with Aaron Rodgers was huge. This is a team that in this case was 3 for 9 in third down efficiency. I mean, they weren't much better 4 for 13. I'm not gonna lie, but again, you got Aaron Rodgers, you got that entire squad there. So the fact that you were able to hold them to a low third down percentage like that, that's huge. Additionally, there was a second fumble. There was a fumble in there as well. So Green Bay had 2 turnovers. And again, if you're going to actually beat a team like Green Bay, you can't have any turnovers and you got to force a couple. That's exactly what Minnesota did. So kudos to Minnesota. Kudos to what they were able to pull off in this case. And you know what? Who knows what's going to happen there? It will probably still be Green Bay's division this year. But by and large, I think this game could at least make it interesting. Maybe it won't be a complete runaway where it's 13-4, for the pack, and it ends up being like 9-8 for the Vikings. Maybe it'll go into the week 12, week 13, week 14, and you might be able to find something that can make this an interesting NFC North. But anyway, my fourth one here, and this is the one that's going to be a little bit on the interesting side. I'm going to caption it the right way here. And I'm going to put that in there as Joe Flacco. Yes, really. The Jets laid an egg at home, to set the tone here. It was September 11th, 21-year anniversary of the World Trade Center falling, big game at home, and they just did not do much. But I think people are giving Joe Flacco a little more hate than the man deserves. He threw 59 passes. Here's the thing. If you're going to throw 59 passes, there's a pretty damn good chance you're going to get a touchdown in there. I'm sorry, I'm correct. Well, touchdown in there, yeah, sure. But I meant in this case, there's a pretty good chance you're going to get an interception in a game like that. So in his case, 37 passes, 37 completions, 59 attempts, 307 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Not bad. This is an offensive line that is still struggling. This is a Jets team that has a long way to go. And he did not have the benefit of, honestly, a good receiving core. There was a 4th down and goal there that was a surefire touchdown. In and out of the hands of the receiver, turnover on downs. It might not have made a difference in the game. Would have been better for stats, granted. But he did what I think he could with that. There's been some talk here in the New York area that Mike White might end up being the quarterback for week 2. Zach Wilson is out until probably around week 4. So there's some huge question marks as far as who's going to be the starting quarterback. I would say Joe Flacco has earned himself another shot. I think the man basically put up good numbers against a solid Baltimore defense, a defense that's hungry, a team that is hungry to prove that what happened last year with that 8-9 record for the Baltimore Ravens was a fluke and was honestly just a load of crap. So I think this is a team that really, 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 the Jets honestly couldn't have pulled much worse situation here. So I will go out on a limb and I will say one of the things that I did like about NFL Week 1 season here was Joe Flacco. I know it's odd in this case, but again, you're dealing with a Jets team that is in such an unbridled rebuild. The man threw 59 passes for completion rate, probably about 65% on something like that. He had the interception, he had the touchdown, he had what should have been another touchdown. Yeah, honestly, in and out of the hands on 4th down, surefire touchdown inside the I think the 10-yard line here, and slipped in and out of the hands, and that should have at least been something to pad Joe Flacco's numbers. Will he be the starter next week? I don't know. It's something where I think I'd like to see him get another start, but I think at the end of the day, they may use it to Mike White. I don't know, but give him another shot. Come on. Got to do it. Okay. And number 5, which may not surprise a lot of you. Yeah, nobody saw this one coming. I didn't even see this coming. I've been a Giants fan for about 40 years now. I was a Giants fan. Usually the way I say it is I was a Giants fan when Scott Brunner was quarterback, which any Giant fan knows. Oh God, that's way back in the past here. That's the dude that pretty much predated Phil Simms, even before Phil Simms was anybody relevant. This has been the saddest I've seen this team in the last 5 years. Since the 2017 season, the New York Giants and the New York Jets have been tied for the worst record during that run. The Giants have actually been statistically a little bit better, but they have had the worst offense during that time. I believe since 2017, I believe the Giants had an average of about 16.8 points per game. Crap. Worst in the league, by the way. So there was a bit of a changeover after what happened last season. Brian DeBall came in, Joe Sheen came in. So you saw what what Brandon would refer to as the Buffalo Giants. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I don't mind calling it the Buffalo Giants. This is a team that I think needed a little bit of a winning pedigree after the last few years, especially after what happened last year against Washington. I've mentioned this ad nauseum, but you know what? I'm going to mention it again because I'm the only one here and I got to still burn another half an hour of talking here. 3rd down and 9, second quarter, inside your own 4-yard line, and you run a quarterback sneak so you can basically not have your punter punt inside of it, too far inside of his own end zone. As Moose Johnson said on the air, you're telling your offense, we don't trust you. So when Joe Judge was out and, Gettleman was out, there was a changing of the guard. And one of the things that I saw that was fascinating about this game is win, lose, or draw. There was a degree of fight in the New York Giants that I have not seen in a long time. The New York Giants, when they went into Tennessee, they were down 13 at the half. And Giants of old would have given up on that one. They would have punted. They would have given up field goals. They would have basically just kind of just run away, just walked away and be like, you know what, we're out. They would have just walked away and been like, you know what, we're out. We'll get them next game, maybe. Haha. There was a fight in this team. There was an energy. There was a drive. There was a passion to win this game, and when it was tied up at 13, it was odd because I hadn't seen my team come back like that in a while. Daniel Jones did throw an interception in the end zone, which was brutal. Sports Illustrated, I saw a Sports Illustrated article yesterday that gave Daniel Jones a C- rating for that game. I thought that was brutal. I'm not a big Daniel Jones fan, but you know what? 17 for 21, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick is not worthy of a C- rating. If you want to give him a B-, fine, screw it. I'm okay with that, but not a C-. Come on, dude. Get your shit together. I think what amazed me about this, though, is that the team refused to quit. And one of the things that head coach Brian DeBoll said after the game is he said, if we get the touchdown here, meaning in this case here, making it 20-19, he said, we're going to go for 2. Are you guys okay with that? And they were all like, F yeah. His words, by the way, F yeah. I believe the F in this case is 4. So 4, yeah. He was like, you know what? We're not playing for a tie. We're not playing for overtime. If we lose it on a 2-point conversion, we lost it on our own. But that kind of confidence and belief is so sorely needed in the New York Giant area. The way that this team has been for so long, it is refreshing to see this team want to win and strive to win. There's a massive difference between playing to win and playing not to lose. The Giants have been playing not to lose for years. And to see that team come out with the fight that they had and the drive that they had was refreshing for this almost 47-year-old Giants fan here. And you're going to look back on this game. Saquon Barkley crushed it with 164 yards in that touchdown. You're going to look back on this team and this game, down the stretch. Max Kellerman talked about how he believes the New York Giants can make the playoffs this year. I don't know. It's still very early. I said before the season started that I think this team can contend for a playoff spot, and by week 12, 13, 14, I think could probably still be in it and then eventually taper off. And it might still happen. But they went into Tennessee. They beat a team on the road that was 12-5 last year with one of the most prolific running backs in the game. A running back right now in Derrick Henry, who is limited to 82 yards on 21 rushes. That is a 3.9 rating, which is very un-Derrick Henry-like. They kept him in check. They kept the offense as a whole in check. And I think when you look at this team, this Giant team, I think could make some waves in that East. Who knows what's going to happen with drawing a blank here. Who knows what's going to happen with Philadelphia? Who knows what's going to happen in Washington? Dallas, major concerns after Dak's injury. So Cowboy Nation is in mourning right now. Cowboy Nation may be in more mourning right now than the UK is over Queen Elizabeth. My wife is a longtime Anglophile, so she's actually feeling that pain too. But there's a degree of loyalty and passion in Dallas Cowboy Nation that I think right now, losing Dak, they have some serious worries and concerns. They were not even my pick to win the NFC East this year anyway. That was going to go to Philadelphia, and I think it still will be. But who knows? The Giants, could they go 9-8? Could they go 10-7? Maybe. It's really early to say, but this is a different Giants team that I remember. They're playing next week at home against a very, very winnable and very beatable Carolina Panther team. Baker Mayfield honestly did not have the game that he should have had going against the Browns there. I was a little disappointed with that, but as far as the Giants go, I think there's hope again. Now, did they catch a break when Ryan Bullock missed that field goal from 47 yards? Yeah, they did. He shot that thing wide left. Interestingly enough, Ryan Tannehill ran a quarterback draw to try and set up a better position, but lost 3 yards. If he had stayed at the line of scrimmage and basically just gone to the right hash mark where he was supposed to go, that kick would have actually gone in. That 3 yards made all the difference on that kick wide left. But the Giants caught a break there, sure. But what did I say in the beginning? Sometimes it's better to, sometimes you catch the breaks because of the mistakes your opponents make. Seattle could have lost that game last night. Why Denver decided to go for a 64-yard field goal. A lot of credit to your kicker on that, but you got Russell Wilson. In this case here, Ryan Tannehill did his job. He went down as far as he could with that, and the kick went wide left and stunned Tennessee. But the Giants are 1-0. The Giants are 1-0 for the first time since 2016. And that makes me so happy right now. It is such a bizarre set of circumstances. Love it. Who knows what's going to happen next week? But for now, you know what? Okay, I'll take it. I'll take what I can get. Let's run with it. Let's roll with it. And take it 1 week at a time. So we got, at this point, like I said, we're operating a little differently in this case. Some things with Zingo in this case, we now have 50-minute shows instead of 55-minute shows. So I only have about 20 minutes left at this point, and that's okay with me. If it's okay with you, it's okay with me. So we are going to switch things over a little bit and talk a little MLB. And there we go. That is the apparently very, very damn fucking difficult to read. Let's see if I can zoom that out a little bit. There we go. Yeah. Let's do that. Yeah, okay. You know what? It's just me. Yeah, so we're just going to run with that and have fun with that. That right now is the AL standings right now in the AL East. I had some questions and some doubts and some massive concerns about whether the Yankees were going to be able to hold on to this division. I think they've kind of righted that ship a little bit, although there's still a massive amount of concerns right there. Tampa is dropping a little bit right now, but they'll still get the wild card. They've done okay, but the New York Yankees are playing the next two games in Boston and Fenway Park. The New York Yankees right now are a team that obviously Boston Nation is royally hating and would love to be the absolute spoiler for. So is the Yankees division locked down? No, it's not. It's looking increasingly probable by the day that they are going to probably take this division, which is going to be huge because they get that bye and they're going to need to rest those legs. Aaron Judge, players like Gleyber Torres, DJ LeMahieu, DJs, in this case too. You've got players that are a little bit on the older side. Gleyber is still kind of in his prime right now, but Aaron Judge is 30 or 31. Giancarlo Stanton is up there too. Giancarlo Stanton is, I think, 32. DJ LeMahieu, I think, is 32. Josh Donaldson's 172. So in this case, you've got a lot of older players there. They're going to need that. I said at the beginning of the season, I said my pick for winning the World Series this year was going to be the Houston Astros. Dusty Baker is one of three managers, I think, in Major League Baseball that really, really deserve a World Series trip. Buck Showalter and Don Mattingly are my others. I can get into Buck in a minute there. But I like what's happening right now with the West. I mean, that's already locked down. Houston is already in mode as it is. I think I don't know what their magic number is with 21 games left, but probably about they could actually, they might be able to lock this division down. I think the magic number is probably around 10 or so. So they should be able to lock that down relatively quickly. Seattle's continuing to fight for a wild card spot. And really when it's going to come down to it, it's going to be Seattle, Toronto, and Tampa are going to be the three. Baltimore at this point, but for and now at this point they're pretty much, I think. Oh. No. No, I have no idea if I'm still on or not. Let's find that out. Come on. There we go. All right. So, like I said, basically in the AL, it's Tampa, it's Seattle, it's Toronto, and that's going to be all of it. It's going to be honestly a very disappointing end. I expected Minnesota to be a lot better team this year. I expected Baltimore to at least have a shot, to be a little bit closer than this, but they're falling off. But if Baltimore ends with a winning record, I think in the AL East, and given what that league is, or that division is, I think they can hold their head high on this one. I think the goal right now is to stay above 500 and finish in the city of Baltimore with a winning record for the first time in years. That city kind of deserves it. It's been so much of a Ravens town, and the Ravens had a bad season last year also, that I would love to be able to see that team built. I think, in this case, I personally, I wanted to see all 5 teams be over 500, but I'm not really convinced that's going to happen in this case. Boston's 30 games out of 5. Yeah, they can still do it. like I said, I'd like to be able to see it happen. Now, on the other side, I kind of want a minute as well. I think right now we're trying to make some. The New York Mets, I think, in this case, there's some questions about whether they're going to be able to survive this. There we go. They've drawn a little bit of an advantage in the fact that, frankly, the Atlanta Braves top 3 in a row. I think there's a good chance that the Mets can still hold on to this division, and they need that too, because they need to give their team a little bit of a break. That division is going to be very interesting down the stretch. These are 2 teams that got to face each other for the final 3 games of the season. So it is going to be some massive, massive question marks about whether or not this team is going to be able to hold them off and be able to be well rested enough to face eventually a Dodger team. Probably the Dodgers are going to be representing one of the 2 teams representing the NL in the championship there. They're going to need to be rested if they're going to take on the LA Dodgers. But they've beaten the Dodgers. They've had good success against the LA Dodgers. I think if the Mets and the Dodgers go head to head, I think the Mets could beat them. I really do. And I think very quietly, very, very under the radar, the Mets have shown that they are not afraid of the Dodgers. But they have to win this division first. They have to get that break. They have to be able to get that rest in so that they can rest Scherzer, who's up there in age. They can rest Bassett. They can rest DeGrom. There's a lot of pitchers in there that need a little bit of time there. I like the way that this team has rallied around Buck Showalter. They lost a game yesterday. There's a couple of questionable decisions. But this team, again, has an energy and a vibrancy that has not been there in some time. So I would love to be able to see what happens with that team. I think the Mets could really make a run here. If they can win this division, I think they can really make a nice run. But the Braves right now have lost 3 straight. That has given the Mets a 1.5 game lead for the moment. But the Mets also additionally have a lighter schedule. They have an easier schedule. So that could be a big factor. They got to play they got another game against the Cubbies. They got to play the Pirates. They got to play the Marlins. So the Mets have the benefit of an easier schedule with a 1.5 game lead. So those 3 games against them may not even be a factor by the end of the season. Who knows? Again, my prediction was the Houston Astros were going to be actually winning the World Series this year. As Rob Manfred said when the LA Dodgers lost and the Houston Astros won back in the day, it's only a trophy. It's just a piece of tin, so it doesn't really matter. So who knows what's going to happen here. Okay, so moving on at this point, I got one final topic, and I don't even have any pictures to pull up for that. But you know what? Fudge it with that. You're going to see my beautiful face here. Yeah, let's zoom this out so you don't have to see all of my beautiful face here. Any second now there. Come on. There we go. Okay. talking a little MLS at this point. During the run that the NYCFC team has had of late, where they have lost 7 of the last 9, I believe it is what right now. There has been some heavy concerns, and I threw a question out there on Reddit about what the Campeones Cup means to the team. The Campeones Cup is an annual competition where the winner of MLS faces the winner of the Mexican League. It's one game, winner take all. Winner gets the trophy, loser gets shame, I guess, for lack of a better word. I was at a very interesting pregame press conference yesterday. So it was, first of all, it was located at PS 49, one of the schools in the Bronx, and included a book reading. So we'll get to that one in a sec. I found that kind of funny. But I threw a question out there on Reddit about what does the Campeones Cup mean to them individually? No wrong answer, just kind of curious. And what amazed me, what really surprised me, is that even though it's just a one-game winner-take-all kind of a scenario, the fans of NYCFC were like, you know what? Our schedule is brutal right now. We're playing 7 games in a 21-game stretch. We're not getting a break. But you know what? We need to win this game. We need to get a win here and a feeling of accomplishment and a feeling of pride again. And we've forgotten what that feels like. And for some of them, we're like, I don't really care. But I would say probably 85% of the people that I asked on Reddit, that basically responded to my question on Reddit yesterday, were like, you know what? A trophy is a trophy. It doesn't matter if it's one game. It doesn't matter how the rest of the team is doing, the rest of the league. It is a chance to have another trophy. And for that, they are basically putting everything they've got into this game. Now, last year, they played one of the other teams in the Liga for what was called the Leagues Cup, Pumas. I remember that game because there was a 3-hour rain delay because of lightning and because of thunder and because of, honestly, flooding on the field, on the pitch, which was not a good situation. But what was interesting about it is the passion was there like I had not seen in a long time. They had the Pumas team, the Mexican Pumas team, had people flying in from Houston, California, Mexico, South America. People were flying up to the Bronx just for this one game. Who knows? Maybe some of them turned it into a little vacation out of it. And I could totally 100% respect that. But what I really loved about it was there was such a passion and a drive. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be at the Campeones Cup. So it's going to be really, really curious to see how much energy and vibrancy this team has at that point. Okay, so we are. I'm going to tell you, I'm excited. I have not been to Yankee Stadium. I haven't been to an NYCFC game in probably about 2 months because their schedule has been largely road-based. And the times that they have been at home, which has been predominantly Red Bull Arena or, in this case, last weekend, Citi Field, I haven't been able to make the trip because of my own schedule. Tomorrow, I'm going to be at Yankee Stadium. Tomorrow, actually, I'm going to be in New York City twice. Once for a COVID test for the original Law and Order, and then coming back home and going back out of the Bronx. But I'm kind of looking forward to it. I haven't actually gotten a match from the press box in a while, so I'm kind of jonesing for that. I'll be doing the Saturday game, the Derby against the Red Bulls as well. I got a guy coming with me on that, as a photographer. But I think it's honestly. I like the fact that the fans are excited. I like the fact that the fans are impassioned and really, really want to get another trophy, even if it screws up the MLS season, which has already had some problems in it. I think when it comes down to this, NYCFC has been losing ground repeatedly because they are losing game after game. They're losing points, and there's some concerns about whether they're going to make the playoffs. I think they will. First round home, whether they're going to play any games at home for the playoffs, not totally sure on that one. But they're playing against an Atlas team right now that is second worst in the Liga MX league down there. So they have the second worst record, I believe, without looking it up. I think it's 2-4-9. Yeah. So no, and the way that goes, by the way, the 4 is the draw. So they've had 2 wins, 9 losses, and 4 ties. So this is a team that has struggled mightily on their own right, which makes them a team that could be beatable and give the Campeones Cup to NYCFC, which, is another trophy for the team. The head coach yesterday, Nick Cushing, talked about how this could be in some ways a reset so the team can feel like it's winning again. Losing streaks are tough. When you're on my side of it and you're doing what I've been doing, losing locker rooms are painful to go into. Losing press conferences suck to go into. And I personally hate it. And in these past few weeks here, where NYCFC has been struggling to get wins and struggling to put points on the board, has been very difficult, for the team, for the fans, and I'm going to be selfish and say for myself, because you get to know these guys. There's been a lot of calls for possibly Nick Cushing to be fired, the head coach of NYCFC. I watched that guy yesterday sit there and read a children's book to children. I, listened to him, and I don't know the exact specifics. My thinking is, I remember, if I understand as best I can, that one of the teachers wrote this book, and then they read this children's book to this whole group of kids, after school. And he was sitting there reading it. I swear to God, if he ever decided to quit soccer, I think he could be really good at audiobooks. Big Finish, over in the UK might be contacting him to start doing some Doctor Who audiobooks over there. But it was neat to hear him and to see the human side of this. And I think this is where sports blocks that mentality a little bit. Because in sports, you have guys that are just on screen. You have guys you read about. You have guys you watch YouTube videos about. You have guys you talk about on Twitter and Reddit. But we are all of us human. And I think that is forgotten far more than it should be. And what bothers me a little bit about this is they're talking about firing this guy that, frankly, I really kind of dig as a person. He's the kind of guy you just want to just hang out with, chill with, and just, share a couple of drinks. And on my side of it, I have to maintain a degree of professionalism, sort of. I do not stick to the same rules and regulations that a lot of my fellow journalists do, because I don't know, I call it blue collar journalism. Share a laugh, share a drink, fine, I'm cool with it. I'm not going to be like, so coach, your team just lost, one of the worst games that they've had out there. You guys were just terrible on the pitch, and oh my God, was an embarrassment. How do you feel right now? No, dude, I freaking can't. I try to tell my guys, 30 to 40% fan, 60 to 70%, job. So you can make a connection, you can share a few laughs. I mean, Nick and I were just sharing eyeball to eyeball, and we were both kind of beaming because of the moment that was there. I'm so bummed about the fact that they told me he was going to be in different spots, so I ended up missing him. I really wanted to talk to him face to face for a minute. I would love to see this team win because I want to see the fans get off his back a little bit. I want to see the fans be able to cut him a little bit of slack right now and give him a little bit of a break because the man's working hard, and I guarantee he's losing sleep. The dude's 37 years old. He's bald as a cue ball up top, and I'm pretty sure this game has done that to the poor man. He wears it well, though. Give him credit. He wears it well. But I would like that team to get a win just so basically the fans can give him a break because you know what? He deserves it. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? We're going to find out starting at 7:30. Game will be over about 9:30 or so. But who knows what's going to happen? Who knows where it's going to go? Who knows what's going to happen? But NYCFC this weekend is going to be playing what they call the Derby. So it's going to be the interstate rivalry with the New York, in this case, New Jersey, however you want to say it, the Red Bulls. This is one of those big local matches there. The fans are going to be out in force on that one too at Yankee Stadium. So I'm going to be at Yankee Stadium Wednesday and Saturday as well. I was up in the Bronx yesterday. I was up in Queens yesterday. I'm going to be in Manhattan tomorrow. I'm going to be in Bronx tomorrow. Thursday, I'm going to be probably in Brooklyn. Saturday, I'm going to be in Bronx. It's like my entire life just lives and centers around New York City in some way or another. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. I will mention that while on the subway yesterday, I saw a woman sucking her thumb for about 5.5 minutes. That was interesting, but New York has got a New York. If you ever have questions about what life is like, basically riding a New York City subway, let me know. I can easily tell you a few things. Okay, so we are going to start wrapping this up a little bit. It's 4:45. Like I said, under the new system that we have, these shows are now set up to only be 50 minutes in length because apparently it has to require Zingo TV a little more time to be able to switch things over and adjust things accordingly as far as the new schedule goes, as far as how, commercials go. I don't know. They just told me this the other day, and I should just make your shows 50 minutes in length. I'm like, all right, fine. I haven't even told my guys because I'm only here today on my own. And ironically enough, which I'm going to preview tonight, Tales from the Film Set tonight is also going to be only 50 minutes in length. I will also be running solo on that one as well, which does kind of suck. It's the first time I think I've done Tales solo in a while. So kind of bummed by that, kind of disappointed by that. I'm also tired as crap, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge that way. But muscle through best I can. Anyway, tonight we're going to be talking on Tales from the Film Set. I'm going to be breaking down COVID tests because Lord knows I've had a lot of those lately. I had an interesting quirk with a wardrobe fitting yesterday, so I may go into that a little bit too. I will be talking also a little bit about Cobra Kai Season 5. 5 things about that I really liked. I had 5 things I really liked here when it came to NFL Week 1. So I'll be talking a little bit about Cobra Kai Season 5, my thoughts on that, where I think the series is going to go. Talk a little bit about you know what? I'm going to probably talk about the guy that I met the other day at a party for my father, which ironically enough, this dude just happened to be there. The guy that actually wrote the song "Who Wears Short Shorts." That's kind of funny. So anyway, I'm Scott Schertzen. I appreciate the time. You guys are awesome. Let me know. Basically, drop me a message at streampunksports@gmail. Basically, you can always find him at Spanglish Sport W on Twitter. Find us on Streampunk ENT on Twitter, Streampunk Entertainment. Find me. I'm Scott Schertzen. It's easy. You Google me, you'll find me. Good, bad, and ugly. I can always talk about some of the ugly tonight. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe talk about some of the more embarrassing moments that I've had on film. Some of the things that I kind of wish, basically, one of those things that's like, let's not tell my parents about those. Maybe I'll do a few of those too tonight. I don't, like I said, I'm running solo, so I'm going to wing this as I go. But appreciate the time. Thanks as always. You guys are awesome. Be good. Thank you.